We're waiting.
And welcome into the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. Appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day to hang out with us. We're going to talk some football today, maybe some basketball, depending on how the show flows. Sometimes I put together all this great stuff and then I don't use it on the show. It's actually kind of funny. I mentioned this yesterday. We are going to get to this today. What does Georgia have to do if they match up with Alabama again in the college football playoff final? Because let's just be honest, they got just popped in the face. So there's that. I was talking yesterday about Clemson and how there are certain things that they can bounce back from, but they did lose their second commitment today from a player since Brent Venables left the team. And there's some optics on some stuff that just kind of looks silly up there. So we'll get into that momentarily. But I got to start with people that are out of touch. If you listen to this program, you know that I am no friend to the NCAA. I think the NCAA is on par with I think there's just a level of just stupid when it comes to the NCAA. And it goes back to this. The head of the NCAA, Mark Emmert, made a comment that this kind of hit me in the face a little bit too. And he's being held to task for it. He said, being a university president, and this is the exact quote, being a university president is the hardest job in America. Of course, he's getting paid $3 million a year to sit up there and spend whatever comes out of the NCAA. But the reality is, he says, that is the hardest job in America. Sir, you are completely out of touch with the average American. You really are. The people that actually make the country go, those people, they're laughing at you when you say stupid things like that. And you wonder why, if you poll people, that they'll tell you, man, I think the NCAA is just whacked. When you have people that think like that, think that being the president of a university is the hardest job in America, that's part of the reason why. And that's how they treat you. They want you to think that they're doing you a favor because in reality, they believe that being a university president is the hardest job in America. Obviously, they haven't actually done any hard work. What a mess. He was taken to task for it by several different folks on Twitter. At J Bean Poll says, this is a guy who never clearly pulled a shift as a coal miner or a nurse or a police officer, ambulance driver, kindergarten teacher, firefighter, bricklayer, or fruit picker. And he says, I'll stop there. Yeah. There's that too. What a mess. And see, this is the guy that's in leadership. At Row247 says, Mark Emmert is the most tone-deaf moron in America. Somebody should take this fool down to South Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and have him catch up chickens or roof a house in July. Yeah, there's that. A couple of other people that actually got into it with him. At David Eicholt on Twitter says, if literally anyone else said this, I would have been surprised. At least the NCAA president is consistent in his logic, even though it's wrong all the time. Another response, don't sell yourself short, Mark. It can't be easy cashing 7-figure checks to lie and put student athletes' needs behind those of administrators year-round who could possibly have it tougher. You persevere, though. It's insane. 803-978-1832 if you want to talk about these comments from the good old, I say good old, from the NCAA. We'll talk about that. And Today's question for you, I want you to step out of the box for a minute. If you're a South Carolina fan, that's great. Clemson fan, Georgia fan, whatever. What bowl game are you looking forward to the most? There are several that are out there that are kind of interesting. Do you have a favorite bowl game that you're looking forward to? Because there's 32 of them? I mean, there's a ton of bowl games. Do you have one that you're looking at? You're like, you know what? I'm going to watch that game just because I like the matchup. There are a lot that are out there. I look from the perspective of I like the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl with the young coach going against the old coach, the so-called Battle of the Carolinas. Yeah. Blake says he likes Ole Miss and Baylor and Mississippi State and Texas Tech. Mike Leach is suing Texas Tech because they fired him because he was mean to an ESPN analyst's son, is basically what it boils down to. And he's suing them for millions and millions of dollars, and he'll probably be suing them until the day he falls off this planet. I don't know about much, but I do know this. If Mike Leach has the opportunity to hang 200 points on Texas Tech, he will do it. He will throw towards the end zone with 1 second to play, and they're up 75-0. Seriously. Jimmy says he's looking forward to the Cheez-It Bowl to see who was on the Clemson sidelines. Yeah. At this juncture, you're hearing more about people leaving Clemson than the actual bowl game. Clemson's still a 1-point favorite in that matchup. Lamont likes the Peach Bowl. Yeah, that might be a good bowl to check out there. But on the other hand, there are some interesting bowls here. You have make sure I got my notes here. Hold on, please, as my notes are all over the place today. I like the Mizzou Army matchup simply because the fact that you get to see Tyler Beatty in probably his final game. So I'm kind of into that. And you get to see Army, which I like to watch the military teams play, by the way. I mean, that's one of my favorite things in the college football season is to see these young men go out there and play. Generally, it's the greatest Rocky movie ever, every game with them. Because they have limits on how big guys can be. So they're going up against guys that are bigger than they are. And when they win, it's generally because they execute better and are sometimes just smarter than the teams they're playing. So there's that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. So I kind of like that matchup. Army, of course, is going to run that option type offense, and Mizzou's rush defense is terrible. So that game may go back and forth with Tyler Beatty breaking off runs and Army breaking off runs in that Mizzou, running past those Mizzou linebackers. So that could be an interesting set there. Comment from the comment section over here. I think BYU was the pick of the litter for the Big 12. Cincinnati's home game capacity, Blake says, is 32,780. Okay. Jay says this may be the best bowl game Clemson could have for a while. Yeah, well, Clemson fans have been hearing that forever. When Deshaun Watson leaves, Clemson's going to suck. When Taj Boyd leaves, Clemson's going to suck. When this guy leaves, Clemson's going to suck. It's silly. I don't think Clemson's falling off the wagon anytime soon. So there's that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown. On Fox Sports Radio 1400, of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Tell us what your favorite bowl game is that you're looking forward to. And figure out if you could go to any bowl game, which one would you want to go to? Not necessarily watch, but we'll go from there. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join me here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Jay says, got some competition down in Miami now. Okay. Yeah. Dan Radakovich today, by the way. And I took a beating for this on Facebook because I posted out there were reports that he was going to Miami like last Friday. And it was confirmed today. Now, of course, the people who were like, that's not necessarily true. That's not true, Rob. Well, yeah, then it is. Then it happens. So there's that. So Dan Radakovich today thanked the Clemson community, and he's basically going home. This guy's been everywhere, man. He started out at Miami, was at Georgia Tech, was at South Carolina, of course, Clemson. Now he's back home in Miami. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Podcast for the show will be up at about 5 o'clock today, as we've had a lot of folks downloading the podcast. I appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit about I noticed something the other day that was kind of interesting. When Georgia finally faced a quarterback that was worth a salt, they got hammered. Made me look stupid because I thought they were the best team in the country. And then all of a sudden, they play against a really good quarterback, and they look like they're, I don't know, not very good. But there was some like early betting lines that were put out there that still had Georgia favored by 1.5 over Alabama, even though Alabama just knocked them into the millennium. So what are some of the things that Georgia could do when they play Alabama if they're going to reverse that trend? One of the things that they can do that I believe is, how about getting to the quarterback a little bit? It seemed like Alabama's offensive line was set up where they were changing people in and out during the Iron Bowl. And then all of a sudden, they go to play against Georgia, who has a better defensive line, and Georgia couldn't get to the quarterback. Just saying. Jay, once again, says that wasn't UGA. Apparently, there were just people out there in uniforms pretending to be Georgia. They had a fake Kirby Smart on the sideline with his golf visor. All of that was fake. Get out of here. That's ridiculous. Anyway, I think pressuring the quarterback is something that has to happen. They need to hit this guy a little bit. Not dirty plays, but at least let him know that you're there. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That's the number to call if you want to join us here on the Rundown. Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Rob, you couldn't go one segment without kind of moving this whole thing towards Georgia and Kirby Smart and his woman's golf visor, could you?
Hold on. I'm responding to the people that are in the comments section saying, quote, that wasn't the real Georgia team out there. Was that or was that not Georgia out there? Did they send Vanderbilt because everyone thinks that everyone's equal in the SEC? So we'll just send Vanderbilt out to play Alabama. Which one was it, sir?
Yeah. No, you're right. They sent Vanderbilt. You got
Sure.
us. You blew my whole argument out of the water,
Good.
sir. I apologize.
All right, well, then
for
you have a
calling
great
in.
day. You want to move on, or are you done?
Yeah, you pick and choose the comments, and obviously pick the one that was going to fit your agenda there. Let me ask you something.
Sure.
As you move to beating up on Kirby Smart, which I'm sure you will.
I haven't said one thing about Kirby Smart. Apparently, I was talking about fake Kirby Smart, according to the comments, because that was who was beat in the SEC championship game, because that wasn't really Georgia out there. They didn't want an SEC title. They're not down for that.
So when you said woman's golf visor, that wasn't directed at Kirby Smart. Was that directed at Steve Spurrier?
No, that was directed at the fake Kirby Smart, because that wasn't really UGA out there, is what I'm being told.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to join me on Earth, let me go forward, sir.
Sure. What you got?
How many national titles did Dabo Swinney have after 6 years at Clemson?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you do know. Next question. Did you realize that Kirby Smart in his division is now 27-2 in the last 5 years?
Sure.
This narrative that Kirby Smart is some dumb and let me ask you something else. The offensive coordinator for Georgia, do you really see this going down? Do you see this happening? Do you see that offensive coordinator coming to Kirby Smart on Friday and saying, hey, listen, I've got a great plan, but I really want JT Daniels to run out there and start this week? And Kirby Smart, who has made cut his teeth on defense, says, nope, I'm going to go with Stetson Bennett. Do you see that happening? Or do you maybe see the offensive coordinator kind of leaning towards Stetson Bennett and Kirby saying, okay, if that's your guy, let's ride with him? Which of the two do you think happens?
I think when Kirby Smart hears offense, he's like, go find the offensive coordinator. So I'll go with the latter.
You'll go with the latter?
Yeah, the latter.
That he wants Stetson Bennett and he overrides.
Well, once again, you're coming from the perspective of Kirby Smart's not responsible for the offense, right? Is that where you're coming from?
At least, well, before the season started, he made clear to come to the media and he said, this is Todd Monken's offense. And he said that as clear as could be. So this whole thing with Stetson, look, guys, it's been talked about ad nauseum. There is something else going on with JT Daniels. When you watch him on the sideline, his helmet is nowhere near him. He's very reserved. He's kind of at peace with the fact of being where he is. There's something else going on there, guys. It's no coach in America would look at those two and say, yeah, Stetson Bennett is definitely the more gifted passer of the two. So there's something else going on there, guys. I refuse to believe this thing that Kirby is so dumb that Monken has this brilliant plan. If only we would run JT Daniels out there, we'd be good. But Kirby overrides him and wants Stetson Bennett for some unknown reason.
Okay, well, why don't you come back down to earth with me, and we'll go from it from this perspective. Kirby Smart is the head coach for the University of Georgia. Am I right or am I wrong?
I'm going to go with you're right on that.
Okay, so I'm correct on that. So he's responsible, period. That's it. I mean, if he thinks that if he wants to put the keys in Monken's pocket, then he's responsible for whatever Monken does. So if Monken decides to run Bennett out there, he's running him out there under the what's the term that I want to use? Under the blessing of Kirby Smart. So that's his quarterback under Monken's advice. So he's held responsible because he's the head guy. If he doesn't want to be the head guy, he can go be a defensive coordinator somewhere else where all he has to do is coach the defense. But he chose to be a head coach, so he gets blistered for that because of what happens with the offense.
Let's go back to what we know about JT. Has not finished a single year of football since high school without missing significant time. Correct or incorrect?
Okay. Sure. You're right.
The answer is correct. Guys, there's nobody. He's going to look at JT. He's missed, I don't know how many different injuries he's had for Georgia this year. Why would you put your trust in someone who's proven that he can't stay healthy for 2 weeks?
Okay, well, why would you put your trust in someone who has completely cracked under the spotlight when he plays against teams that matter?
Because that's your only option.
Oh, goodness. Well, if that's your only option, then that comes back to you get all of these top recruiting classes. Why haven't you developed a better quarterback?
Right. And when you say that, there are guys out there like Dabo Swinney who put an absolute pile of dung out there at quarterback all year, but there seems to be no criticism towards that. How about Dan Mullen, the quarterback whisperer? He had 2 piles of dung playing for him. So it's all about Kirby and how dumb he is.
Dan Mullen is unemployed. Dabo Swinney won national titles. So you're talking about apples and oranges. He's won 2 out of the last 5. Does Kirby Smart have that?
Actually, you know what? You make a great point.
He's won 2 out of the last 5 national titles. Does Kirby Smart have that?
And guess what? With those 2 quarterbacks, one of them was when Mark Richt was still at his tenure at Georgia, correct? So Clemson can thank Mark Richt and the pile of crap that he was as a quarterback guru at Georgia for sending him. He was from Georgia, of course, to Clemson, and he said that he didn't trust Georgia's coaching staff, which is a joke. I mean, he's correct about that, by the way. I believe when that ugly woman you had at quarterback who was so good for a while there, Sunshine.
Oh yeah, the guy that beat Alabama by 28 points, something that Georgia had never dreamed of doing in the modern era.
Right.
That guy.
Right.
Yeah, that guy who's been better than any Georgia quarterback in the past 25 years. That guy. That's who you want to talk about and call him an ugly woman. He's better than any quarterback that Georgia's had in the past 20 years. I'll stand behind
I would agree.
that.
And guess what? Guess who was the coach for 15 years of those 20-something you just mentioned?
I don't understand I don't understand why you want to bash Mark Richt. I really don't.
Because
the man is dying, sir. You're going to kick a guy who's dying. That's what you're doing.
No,
right now.
absolutely not. I have nothing but respect for him as a person. He's a great dude. I want nothing but the best for him.
Cool. Then stop bringing him up when you're trying to bring up Georgia's problems. When you should be bringing up Kirby Smart because he's the one who's running the program now. A question from one of the listeners here. Do you think Kirby deserves the SEC Coach of the Year over some others that were in the conversation?
Considering the injuries and the misfortune he had to deal with, absolutely. It's not even close. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
God bless you, sir.
And let me get back to that ugly female you had playing quarterback for you that was so great at Clemson.
Great.
Guess why she committed to Clemson?
Go ahead.
Didn't trust what they had seen from Georgia at that quarterback spot so far, which was December of 2016 when Kirby had just gotten in there.
Sure.
Rob?
Well, in reality, why would any quarterback want to go to Georgia if you're going to be given the runaround from either Monken or whatever sacrificial lamb that Kirby Smart's going to put out there as him and Muschamp sit in the back and count their money? Why would you even want to be a quarterback and go to Georgia? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Kirby and Muschamp sit in the back and count their money. Are you kidding, Rogers? What are you talking about?
That's what Muschamp does. He's screwed over 2 SEC East programs. He's at a third. If you guys don't win this year, are you going to blame it on Muschamp? Is that what the Georgia fans are going to come with? It's Muschamp's fault. He ruined another program.
What does Muschamp coach this year at Georgia?
Well, according to Kirby Smart, he was supposed to be there to analyze the coaching staff, which is beyond a level of idiocy. Hey, let's bring in a guy who's a 2-time failure to evaluate our coaches. That's what he's supposed to be doing. But apparently the special teams coach had some issues and had to leave the program. So I guess he's coaching the special teams now.
You guess?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, well, that's an awful lucky guess. Guess what? You happen to be correct.
Good.
He is coaching special teams. And guess where our special teams ranks this year?
How do they rank special teams?
You
got a good kicker? Is that what it boils down to? Was Muschamp out there with the kicker? Way to line it up there, son. Kick that ball through the uprights. How do you rate special teams? Seriously.
Rob, you're amusing one person right now, and that's yourself.
I like to amuse myself, sir.
They rank special teams, and Georgia is top 10 in the way that they rank special teams. That means yards given up, return yards, block punts, block field goals. Georgia's in the top 10 this year. Guess who's the coach? Will Muschamp. That guy that you just said was in the back room counting money like he's running some third-rate.
He's sitting here. I think he's got like 3 piles of money. This money is from Florida. I'm counting Florida dollars. Then over here, I'm going to count South Carolina dollars. And oh, by the way, I'm going to sit over here and count the money that Georgia's giving me. He's just counting money.
Well, guess what? That makes him smarter than you and I, doesn't it?
Fair enough, sir. Anything else for today's show?
Yep, 43-18, Rob.
Have a great day. Back out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Why is this guy instead of crying? He's crying. We're gonna hear that crying all the way to the 31st of December.
I think he runs around seriously. And during the holidays, it may be a little. He's probably got a big diaper on, and it's probably got the little Christmas trees on it. You know, when I had kids, they had the festive holiday diapers. He's probably got that too. And he probably just sits there, and he's probably got a big Georgia pacifier, and it's got Kirby Smart etched out on the front of it. And he's probably got the little Kirby Smart visor that he wears in case the sun's a little bit too bright. So there's that.
I agree.
Yeah.
He's just a big crybaby. See how things flip when you lose? Mm-hmm. When you lose, you see how things flip?
Mm-hmm.
They are losers. 27-2 with no championship. How about that?
I mean, that's almost as bad as Texas Southern beating Florida in basketball, right?
No doubt. All right.
What else you got for the program, man?
That's it.
Have a great day.
All right.
Ah, goodness. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown this afternoon, here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I said this the other day, with the way that I believe that Georgia defense is, if they don't win a national championship simply because of the quarterback, that's a shame. That's a shame. Biscuit says, what is Florida won? That's a good point, too. They didn't beat 0-7 Texas Southern. Thanks for that, DeReal MVP. Good stuff there, man. All right, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Feel free to join us here today as we roll through some stuff here. And, my other stuff with Georgia, if they're going to have a chance to beat Alabama, if they get that far. Seems like a lot of folks are starting to lean towards Michigan a little bit as far as the betting goes, but we'll see. I think that Georgia's a better team than Michigan is. But then again, they've got Tweedledee and Tweedledummer as far as the two coaches there. I don't trust Harbaugh or Smart. Remember, Harbaugh's the guy that was, hey, let me have an overnight sleepover with recruits. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. What a mess. Anyway, so you got those two coaches going at it, and whoever goes into the final, they're going to be walking in. We went to the final. That should be good enough for you folks. We went to the final. That's going to be the thing there. We'll see how that all works out. Anyway, the secondary is a big deal for Georgia in the potential next matchup with Alabama, simply because they got torched in the first one. I don't know if they should play up more. Not having Alabama not having their top receiver may end up being a problem. We'll see how that works out. But I think that that's one area they've got to clean up. Maybe they could change some of the coverages, but I don't think they can sit back because Alabama quarterback is going to he's already proven he can pick them apart. So we'll take calls on that, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Some comments. Tom online says, I think Juju McDowell will be the breakout player for the Gamecocks going forward. I think that's fair. That backfield got a little less busy with Zakondre White saying, hey, I'm going to go on to the NFL. Now, of course, Coach Beamer said maybe he's not going to the NFL, or maybe he'll play in the bowl game. He's going to go to the NFL, but maybe he'll play in the bowl game. But he may have an opportunity, McDowell. The thing that gets me about him is when you look at him, he's built like Tyler Beatty from Mizzou, a smaller guy. Maybe he has an off season with some more conditioning. He can put some more muscle on. That might help him out a little bit. Let's take a quick call before we go to break. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, it's Ray. Hey, I just going to call in. I watched the Georgia-Alabama game this weekend, and geez, my knees. But the one thing I've noticed about Kirby, and I've heard other people say it as well, there's no doubt he's got more talent, as much talent as anybody in the country. Unbelievable amount of talent.
Right.
But he might be one of the worst game time decision makers or adjustments. I guess what I'm trying to say, making adjustments throughout the game.
Right.
That I've ever seen.
Like in the history of ever? Yeah, I don't know if I want to go that far, but for being paid what he's paid, he's not exactly above average. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For a coach that has that level of talent, that has the keys to a Rolls Royce. Now he got those players. He's very good at that. But as far as making those in time or in game adjustments for a big name coach like that, he may never beat Saban, because Saban can make those adjustments. So I think that's definitely a handicap that Georgia's got going on for them, and I think that will keep them from winning a national title, even though if they got the much better team. And I think it's really glaring in these championship type of games. Not so much during the regular season, but when it comes crunch time, and whatever Georgia fan wants, and probably what they should get with that talent, I just think Kirby's just going to. I think his handicap of not being able to make these adjustments is going to cost him in the end. But that's what I got to say. But thanks, Rob.
Appreciate it, man. All right, and we'll take more calls for that after the break. Biscuit with a comment saying he's seen him make adjustments before, and I'll buy that. My thing with him is he has to be held responsible for the quarterback situation at Georgia. And if it's Stetson Bennett your best option, then that's on him too. You should have somebody else that's more developed. More of the rundown when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Give me 1 second, guys. I was taught my wife was giving me a call about my my son who apparently is not feeling well. So that's why there's no sound. And I don't play the commercials during the break, Mike, because it just sounds silly. As far as Iowa State, I think that they got more guys that are actually going to be there. I don't know who's going to be there for Clemson, to be honest. Oh yeah, no, Jaden's autistic, so it's kind of hard to figure out when he's sick and when he's not, because he's actually has like this great mentality of he's just gonna do whatever. So that's kind of cool. No, buddy, Jaden's a skinny little fellow. He's a skinny little fellow.
Don't get you a great network. A great network gets you a great network. It's why Total Wireless runs on the largest, most dependable network with nationwide 5G. And now our totally unlimited plan is just $50 a month for talk, text, and high-speed data that never run out. Get unlimited laughing, scrolling, unlimited everything. Total Wireless. Do unlimited. Available in authorized dealers. Capable of licensing and actual availability conditions speed location. Total Wireless reserves the right to configure a month for 60 days. Terms and conditions at totalwireless.com/terms.
Hey guys, Walton Swan here. I was hanging out in the backyard with my son Mason a couple of years ago, and he said, "Dad, you're the best father ever." When I asked him why, he said, "Because when I go outside to play, I don't get eaten up by the bugs anymore." Imagine that. Me, a hero, when all I did was call my good buddy Trey Powell and Mosquito Joe with their routine.
There weren't very many people in the stands either.
Make yourself a family hero. Call Mosquito Joe today, 803-223-7916. That's 803-223-7916. Outside is fun again. Mercedes-Benz. Injuries are taking a toll on the Panthers' offensive line again. Starting guards Don Miller and Michael Jordan are the latest to be sidelined by injury. Panthers linebacker Frankie Luvu was the nominee for the NFL's Outstanding Sportsmanship Award. That recognizes the player who's got his best game. At week 14 of the NFL season kicks tonight as the Steelers visit Minnesota. Mike running back Calvin Booker plays over 11 days after dislocating his shoulder. I'm Scott Davidson. Intelligence runs in the family. Innovation runs in the family. Extraordinary runs in the family. The 2021 Mercedes-Benz range of SUVs, every member is waiting to impress. Learn more at MBUSA.com. It's time to show your online assistant where you go for a good time. Okay, Google, play Fox Sports Radio 1400 on iHeartRadio.
Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining the program. J-Rock Online says, in all seriousness, though, if I was Kirby, I would be giving JT practice because if they beat Michigan, they need him out there against Alabama. I'd like to see them beat the Tide, to be honest. I think that with Kirby Smart, he's not going to tell you what he's going to do anyway. As far as injuries and who's going to play and who doesn't play, he's not going to tell you either way. So he also asked if anybody has a path to beat Alabama. Yes, hope that Alabama has some young men that go into COVID protocol, but they don't have COVID. After the phones we go. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, this is a Biscuit.
Hey, producer Biscuit, what you got?
Nothing. It's going to surprise you a little bit. I agree with a lot of what you said today so far.
Well,
this idea.
Give me time, and I'll piss you off before the show's over, I'm sure. But go ahead.
You know what drives me crazy? Hyperbole seems to be the order of the day in college football every week. It's like Alabama 2 weeks ago, they stink. They can't do anything. And then they beat Georgia. And, Georgia stinks. What are they going to do? They can't do anything. We always respond to everything based on what was the week prior.
Right.
And we act as though we're going to move forward. And that's exactly the way the results are going to be the rest of the way. I'm not suggesting that Georgia's going to win the next playoff game or the national championship or whatever, but it's a 14 playoff and they do have a legit chance of it.
Yeah, they have a chance because they're there. They're one of 4 teams that can actually win the national title. You're absolutely right.
The idea that Kirby Smart doesn't make adjustments in football games is absolutely absurd. If he couldn't make adjustments, he wouldn't be coaching at this level. I've seen him make adjustments. He made adjustments in the secondary against Tennessee after the first drive, and they did nothing the rest of the game. That's
real talk though. But can you make an argument on where he made an adjustment on the offensive side of the ball that changed the game?
No, on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. You said you had where he made adjustments. Did he make an adjustment on the offensive side of the ball that you can remember that changed the game?
Well, no, I've seen game plans. I don't know where. The thing is I don't know where his calls are made versus an offensive coordinators are made. So I can't say specifically where I know on that side of the ball what was changed. I have seen situations before where they go in with an offensive game plan and it was an excellent game plan and it worked. My issue with him is the obvious one, which is we've seen now and I hear this from a lot of Georgia fans. They'll say to me, well, you know more than Kirby Smart, including a guy who's a friend of mine. He's a former quarterback at Georgia. I've gotten into arguments with him about this, but I am a human being that can look and see patterns happening over and over again and recognize that something isn't right. And so when you look at their roster since, like, say, 2017, with the QBs that they've had on their roster and the QBs that have been chosen to play on the field and the ones that have transferred elsewhere and done very well, including Jacob Eason, you have to start to question some of it. If you're not, if you don't, you don't have a brain. He's done some great things with Georgia, but he's continued to fall short and cost us potentially national championships based on quarterback decisions. If you had
to give him a rating on the way that he develops quarterbacks, you're at best a C-. I think that's fair, right? Close to it.
Developing them. When you say developing, you mean developing them for the NFL, or
no, I meant maybe I'm using the wrong term. For actually picking the correct quarterback to lead you where you need to go.
No, yeah. I mean, I have to say it's not a passing grade. It's failing. I mean, Jake Fromm. I think what happens is like in 2017 or after 2017 when he had Fromm in there, he's like, well, Jake Fromm was in the national championship, so how can I bench him, even though another guy looks more talented? And what he falls into is he didn't make the decision like Dabo Swinney made with Trevor Lawrence's. Hey, in the long term, this guy's more talented and is really our answer. I need to start getting him playing time and grooming him to be ready. Realizing I know Justin Fields was a true freshman. But as we move on, we move forward. And last year at the beginning of the season, he told us DeJuan Mathis was the best quarterback coming out of camp. That's impossible. That guy hasn't been the best quarterback in any room. I could be sitting with him in a room, and I would be the better quarterback. That guy looks like the football hat wasn't invented when he's on the field. I mean, he was awful. And then we come into this year, and here we go again with the comfort player. I mean, you came out of camp this year saying JT Daniels is the best quarterback. He's healthy now. Why are we not playing him? I mean, it doesn't make any sense that for people who say he hasn't played. Well, he hadn't played for 2 years before he went in and threw 400 yards against Mississippi State. So I think he gets enamored with the comfortable position. As far as Bama goes overall in playing that game, I think he overthought himself in this game and his schemes. And if you notice, we played a bunch of zone coverage, and we didn't back out of that. And then at some point, players do have to perform. I mean, you can scheme up everything you want. If the front four aren't playing hard and they're not getting back there, then it doesn't matter what coach is coaching. I mean, if you saw in that one play where, Bryce Young pointed out the receiver. Everybody's been talking about that play. Pointed out the receiver and then threw it to him. And they showed Jordan Davis at that moment. He wasn't giving 100% there. So, I mean, something happened where they got overconfident.
In your mind, you think that there's a lack of motivation on certain plays? Or could it
shockingly,
maybe
I haven't
Davis
seen it
isn't
all
in
year.
shape? Maybe it's that too. I mean, I haven't seen him play more than 3 plays in a row yet. Maybe that's
the other problem I have with Kirby sometimes too. Is he has these. We have such a deep bench. We can go 2 deep, 3 deep in certain positions, and it's awesome. But sometimes a player gets hot, and you need to leave them in there for a while, particularly at the running back position. And I've seen some of that happen to Georgia too over the past several years, where one of the running backs is effective, another one isn't, but he keeps rotating them. Like, for example, it was obvious that Zeus wasn't running the ball well. His style, his ability to break tackles and just run straight forward and run over people, you're not doing that against Alabama. And he doesn't have the vision and awareness like a James Cook has. So you need to run him less sometimes. This happened in the 27 national championship game between Chubb and Michelle when he was running both of them. Chubb, it wasn't working because he was more of a physical runner. Michelle was more of a breakaway speed guy, and he was averaging 6-7 yards a carry, but he continued to run Chubb twice as much. And so there is some of that too.
There is some of that too, but I mean, I can hang on the stuff with the way that he's dealt with quarterbacks. And I mean, it's just, we could start with that and then work our way down from there. But yeah, you can make a definite point about the stuff with Davis out there as well. But, we're picking at a guy that is probably going to be coach of the year, but with where Georgia is, as far as the talent they've got, if they fall short of the national title, I mean, it's kind of boom or bust with this season.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be a lot of disappointed people. It's not over yet. I mean, everyone's talking like it's all over. It's not over yet. But I want to touch on one other thing that you pointed out that I don't agree with you on.
Sure.
You keep talking about Muschamp as those 3 teams have made mistakes with this guy. No,
I said
2 teams made mistakes who hired him as a head coach to lead their program.
Exactly.
Georgia, what they're doing with him is brilliant. They're paying him $300K. He's an outstanding recruiter.
I meant on the front of, if he gets to a point where he ends up being your head coach, it could be the 3rd. That's kind of where I'm going with that. But you're right. With the way that they're doing him now, I mean, they've got him into a position where he's in like a safe box. You just take care of this portion of it and go recruit. Maybe that's what's better for him. So, but as far as what they hired him for, when Smart said he's here to analyze our coaches, that's insane. Now, just tell what he's there for. You want him as a consultant for your defense, that's fine. But he's here to analyze us. That's the exact quote. Get out of here with that nonsense.
Now, Oh, I have no idea what. Well, first of all, I don't know what that means, even, to be honest with you.
He says,
But,
he's here
I
to
think
analyze
what he
us.
is
He's here to analyze the coaching staff. Hey, guess what? I'm a 2-time failure in the SEC, but you should probably do this. Get out of here, man. That's exactly where I'd go with that. What do you know?
Well, I mean, we all know that the coaching in college now is a very complicated thing, and it's a CEO sort of job too. So it might be more about administrative stuff. Maybe he's handling a lot of the administration stuff that Kirby doesn't want to deal with. I don't know.
Fair enough, man.
My take on it is he was assuming. I think Kirby was assuming Dan Lanning is on his way to becoming probably a head coach at some point, and that he has a ready-made defensive coordinator for him if that happens. That's my first thought, but I don't know. That's all not based on anything that I know. But
I got to go to a break, Biscuit, but you're always welcome, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks. See ya.
There you go, Biscuit, joining us here on the program. Take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Jackson Muschamp. That's great. He was really good at Hammond here in Columbia when he was the quarterback there. So. You're funny, Mike. Buddy Pewter Duke. That's funny, Bible. What's Kentucky on the rise to do? It's kind of funny because you hear all these folks talking about our program's on the rise. You know, teams have to get beaten. So the idea that your program is completely on the rise all the time is far-fetched. Not all programs are on the rise, so.
Holiday Lights on the River is back for another festive holiday season at Saluda Shoals Park for a chance to win 2 passes, one for your family and one for someone else. Log on to foxsportsradio1400.com/contests.
Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. I want to give you a quick, I'm not a guy that does a whole lot of the recruiting thing, but I've been following the 247 Sports composite rankings. I use those when I talk on the program here because it's basically a composite of all of the rankings that are out there. Now, there are folks that are like, well, I like rivals, or I like whatever puts my team up further. That is just silly. And you can't use one more than the other. I use just one and then go from there. It's just the easiest way to do it. So here's what I've got from that. These rankings change every day. Yesterday, Clemson was ranked 9th in the rankings. Today, they are not. They end up losing a recruit today, and it dropped them a little bit. So just a little quick look here. Alabama's at 1, Georgia's at 2, Texas A&M at 3, Ohio State at 4, Penn State at 5, Notre Dame at 6, Texas at 7. At 8, you've got North Carolina. 9 is Stanford, which was kind of interesting. Mizzou is at 10, followed by Florida State. Michigan, Kentucky, and then Clemson's at 14. Oregon's at 15. Arkansas's at 16. Virginia Tech's at 19. Tennessee's at 18. South Carolina checks in at 20. Now, a lot of it, when you look at these rankings, it's all about the total number next to them. Some of these schools have 24 recruits already. Some of them are checking in with 12. That's why the numbers are kind of low. Let's take a quick call here. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Big Barney Ross here.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, everybody at work's talking about how Georgia's going to have to stop Alabama, and everybody's got these novelty ideas of how to use Davis like William the Refrigerator Perry on offense. Look, just let Stetson Bennett do his thing. Don't throw the football into a team meeting and over the middle of the field. Come up with a pretty solid game plan, play some defense. But if you want to put no 99 out there and try to run behind them, when you get in the red zone, that might, you got to throw out all the stops. Am I right?
I think that putting Davis out there is more of a novelty than anything. I mean, I could see doing that in a game against, I don't know, insert non-conference foe here that you're up by 40 or whatever. But putting him in there, at a crucial play, I think is kind of silly. They've got running backs that are actually running backs. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but then again, who knows? Maybe it's a different look. I don't know. But
it worked for Chicago.
But that was 35 years ago, something like that. Look, I think that they want him out there to play defense. They'd much rather have him out there to actually make stops on defense than the potential of getting hurt on some play where he may tweak something because he doesn't truly know what he's doing. And that's not a knock on him, but he plays defense. He's not an offensive player.
I understand that, but the Bears won the Super Bowl in the 80s. Georgia's title was in the 80s. This could be a coincidence. I don't know. But I'll get off here and listen to what you got to say.
Thank you, sir. With that, I'm not buying that at all. Jordan Davis should not be running plays on the offensive side of the ball. LW Online says, please, please, please let Bennett do his thing. His last 2 years, 41 of 24, 41 of 24, and 5 total hits against Alabama. Listen to this caller, Kirby, please, sir. Yeah. That's pretty funny. We're going to start getting in the next couple of days a lot more stuff on the recruiting front. We'll try to keep you up to date as much as possible. I want to look at how the recruiting rankings change each day. Clemson dropped 5 spots in one day. Now, granted, they've only got 12 players committed, which tells me either one of two things. They're hoping to get some more guys. I think the lowest recruiting number they've had in the past 7 years is like 16. They may still be waiting on Travis Etienne's brother. They may have other guys that are going to come in, or maybe Dabo Sweeney's like, you know what? I've heard about this transfer portal. Maybe I can go and get somebody there that will come and help the program out a little bit. Who knows at this juncture? We shall see. All right, tomorrow on the program, we'll look a little bit more into that, and we'll start looking at some of these bowl games because they are not far away. Well, tomorrow we'll be a week away from the first couple of bowl games, the Bahamas Bowl and whatever bowl it is that Coastal Carolina is playing in against Northern Illinois. But, we'll definitely get into that. And we'll look at the Army-Navy game tomorrow just because I like the Army-Navy game. That's how that works. We'll talk about the Army-Navy game tomorrow and who I think is going to win. We'll go into that and a lot more tomorrow on the rundown. My buddy Lawton Swan, bless his heart, has been dealing with the COVID, and he is kind of out of it, but he will be back as soon as he possibly can. Let's take a quick call. All right, you're on the rundown. Go.
How's it going? Bluegrass Sports Media.
All right, man, I got 30 seconds. How about it?
Okay. Kentucky's ahead of Clemson in the recruiting rankings. No big deal. Do you think that Brett Venables is going to bring the entire Clemson program down now that you don't have an offense or a defensive coordinator?
I think those things will change. And by the way, Kentucky has 18 commits to Clemson's 12. As far as their average player, they're at 88.5 to Clemson's 92.32. I think that most people would much rather have Clemson's recruiting class than what Kentucky's bringing in. But what do I know? I mean, they got the number one quarterback
Yeah.
in the country. So there's that.
That's very cool for now until Brent Venables flips the ball to Oklahoma.
They're not all flipping to Oklahoma. I got to go, but I appreciate you calling the program, man. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Bye. All right. Have a good day. We'll be back at it. God bless you, Swanee. Get well, man. We'll talk to you later. This is The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Hey, you guys are awesome, man. We'll talk to you later on. You see how Bluegrass Sports is trying to talk up Kentucky? Get out of here. He was on the sidelines there, Tim. I don't know. I don't know what Dabo's doing. I don't think anybody knows. Hopefully he's trying to figure out who's going to run the program. Got to figure that out. Appreciate y'all, man. We'll see you tomorrow.